Look, I know you're just gonna go out and you're gonna buy a Tacoma, but what if I told you the other two trucks are better? It is a great time to buy a truck, y'all. All of the popular sellers have got new versions of their mid-size offerings, and the competition is fierce. Now, the Colorado recently won our Edmunds top-rated truck award, beating out even the Tacoma. However, this is the first chance we've had with the Ford Ranger. Now, Ford absolutely dominates the full-size truck market, so can it work its magic here in the mid-size segment? Can it beat the mighty Colorado? Let's find out. Now, the categories we're going to be looking at include the uber important towing and payload, of course, but you're gonna have to live with these trucks on the daily. So we'll also see how they fare when it comes to comfort, technology, fuel economy, and driving impressions. And since I know you're gonna spend a lot of coin on one of these vehicles, we'll also see how they fare in the value category as well. Now, do I have to tell you to hit that like and subscribe button? Sure do, because it is in my contract. And if you want to know anything else about these trucks, we've got some links in the description, or you can just head on over to Edmunds.com. Now, if you're looking at trucks, you probably have got some work to do, whether it's towing your toys out to the desert for the weekend, or maybe hauling gardening supplies home from Home Depot in the bed. One thing's for sure, trucks help you get stuff done. Now, in our testing, the Ranger and the Colorado actually tied when it comes to towing and hauling. I don't like ties, so I'm gonna give it to the Ranger, and here's why. Pro Trailer Backup Assist. You guys, this technology is so great for people that don't have a lot of experience towing. So basically there's a little knob and it kind of replaces your steering wheel. You turn the dial to the right and the trailer moves to the right. You turn it to the left, the trailer moves to the left. If you don't have this technology, you're kind of steering backwards and it gets real hinky real fast. So it's great to include this here in the Ranger. Now, when it comes to payload, the Ranger's got the most of the bunch at 1,805 pounds, and towing is very healthy at 7,500 pounds. I've got outlets back here, both regular and 12 volt, and Ford pushed the wheel wells out, so now you could fit a 4-foot sheet of plywood back here. That is represented by these boxes, because we're cheap. We didn't want to buy any plywood. And you guys, look at this. Look at these bed steps. They're not in the bumper, they're on the side, so you can easily access the entire bed. Now, if you're more about towing than you are about payload, it's the Colorado all the way. This guy can tow 7,700 pounds behind it, and it can haul 1,684 pounds in the bed. But what really gets me going for all of you noobs out there is the Max Tow package actually has this cool in-vehicle trailering app, and that will help you diagnose problems like maybe your taillights aren't working or you don't know how to set the brake gain. It's really, really useful. Now, I want to call a few things out here. Like the Ranger, I do have a step, but here it's in the bumper, it's not on the side, but still pretty useful. I don't have a 12 volt, but I do have a regular 3-prong outlet. Again, I can definitely use that, and I've got a little bit of storage here in the tailgate. Now, if flexibility is your jam, you're gonna wanna look at the Tacoma. This truck can be had with a 5-foot or a 6-foot bed. Those other guys, those are short beds only. Now, this particular model does not come with the available outlet in the rear, but if you really need power back here, just wait until the hybrid powertrain becomes available, because then you can get 2,400 watts of electricity coming out of the bed. That's perfect for running like a little refrigerator while you're camping or power tools out on the job site. The bummer here is that this guy can only tow 6,500 pounds. I know, it's really sad. But payload is right in the middle of our competitors at 1,705 pounds. But remember, those payload options for all of these trucks, that's only in the 2-wheel drive vehicles, so plan accordingly. Oh, and the Tacoma, yeah, there's no step in the bumper. Now, you can get some basic trailer tech in the Tacoma. You can get trailer brakes, that's cool. You can also get a hitch assist and a technology that will help you back up the trailer in a straight line. So it's just not really as advanced as what we'll find in the Colorado and the Ranger. And what about interior storage? The Taco wins! I really love that I've got these cool pockets here on the door, and the fact that the passenger has a shelf, like that is just clutch. I lose a lot of space here with the wireless charging. I might want to alter that just a little bit, but I like that I've got a little space here for like loose papers, maps, stuff like that. In the back, these rear seat backs fold down for some more flat storage, and check this out. Underneath the seats, there is enough room for a 12-pack of Diet Dr. Pepper. Come on. Now things aren't nearly as good in the Colorado. I mean, yeah, I got door pockets, look, but they're really small. I can only fit 1 hydro flask instead of 3. And rear seat storage, kind of meh. I don't have a little shelf here on the passenger like I do on the Tacoma, but my center console is pretty deep. And then look, there's a little like divider. So I've got like a loft bed, so 2-tiered storage. Yes, please. Plus my cup holders here, they have an integrated cell phone holder. Like the Tacoma, the Ranger has got a little shelf here for the passenger, but it goes one step further with this, a second glove box. Now I really like how this center console here is angled forward a little bit. It gives me just a little bit more room. The door storage, there's only 1 little pocket. It's really not that great. The storage cubbies in the rear are both pretty deep, but neither one of them are big enough to handle my 12-pack of Diet Dr. Pepper. These rear seats do fold flat, and that's nice, but look, where are you gonna put your rear seat passengers now? So I guess just use it when you want to avoid taking your annoying friends with you. I don't know. Now, y'all know you'll be spending some time in your truck, so we need to talk about comfort and interior design. Now, normally we rate these separately, but for this video, I've actually combined them and averaged the scores because they all kind of dovetail off one another. So y'all, the Ford wins this section, but just barely. I really like the seats in here. They are the most comfortable out of all of them. And I like this design aesthetic better than the Tacoma, but I think I dig just the way the interior feels better in the Chevrolet. Now, unfortunately, some of the HVAC controls are actually buried in the screen, which is not the best, but some of the ergonomics make up for that. So I love that I've got all of my 4-wheel drive controls right here underhand, and the ring around those controls does double duty as both the controls for drive mode and for my Pro Trailer backup assist. Plus, with this low hood, the visibility out of this truck is the best out of all 3. So I'm in the Tacoma, and you know what? It's a Tacoma, but I will say this. Toyota has done a great job at improving their seating and visibility. I've got so much more adjustability in the seat and in the steering wheel, and I can see further over the hood than I could in the past generation. Now, having said that, the hood's still pretty high and pretty flat. You might want to spring for that optional 360-degree camera. And the seats are kind of flat, so they're not quite as comfortable as what we have in the Ranger. But if you move up the trim tree, you can get them heated and cooled, and that is pretty dope. And all of the HVAC controls are all physical buttons and switches. Thank you very much. Oh, and when it comes to rear seat passenger room, the answer is no. They're mid-size trucks. They're all terrible. All right, so moving on to the Colorado. Now, overall, this interior just really does it for me. I kind of love how it's all laid out. Plus, the visibility is great, and it almost seems like that rear window is tinted a little bit because I never get blinded by other people's headlights in my mirror. Like the other trucks, I've got nice chunky controls for the HVAC here in terms of dials and buttons, and there's even a button that will lower all 4 windows at once. That's pretty convenient. But you guys, I have to tell you, the worst feature on this vehicle by far is that headlight switch. Because it's not a switch. You actually have to control the headlights on the screen. Like, what the actual? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Now, listen, I realize that Chevy just thinks that you're gonna leave it in auto and be done with it. And this is always visible no matter what is happening on the screen. That icon never ever goes away. But this is solving a problem that is not a problem. Nobody asked for this technology. But you can still control the high beams from the stock right here, so that's cool, I guess. Still annoying. Now, just like you can't escape computers in cars, big old screens have come for trucks as well. Plus, we've got a whole bunch of safety features, so let's check the tech. Now, between the Ford and the Chevy, it's actually a pretty tough call, but I'm gonna give the W to the Chevy. Standard, I've got an 11-inch touchscreen here with wireless phone connectivity as well as really helpful voice controls, and everything on this screen runs really, really quickly. Now, you can get a 12-inch portrait-oriented screen in the Ranger, but that is not standard. But the Sync 4A operating system, again, that runs really fast and it's pretty easy to use, and for some reason, you've got a sketch pad. I don't know why, but I'm really digging how quirky that is. Both the Ranger and the Colorado get a smattering of USB-A and C ports, plus there is available wireless charging. I just find that the Chevy system is just a little bit easier to use, but listen, you're not gonna be disappointed with either one. And listen, Toyota has made huge gains in this generation's Tacoma when it comes to infotainment. I mean, yes, an 8-inch screen is standard, but you guys, we have this giant 14-inch screen, and y'all, it is like there, you know what I mean? It's just not as quick on startup, and it doesn't respond quite as quickly to inputs. There's also plenty of USB-C ports, and I do have wireless charging, but first of all, it's up and down, which is kind of cool because then maybe you can see your phone while you're driving, but it also means that you don't have a lot of storage space like I talked about earlier. Plus, I still have not been able to get my phone to actually wireless charge in this vehicle. Like, ugh. Now the Tacoma gets blind spot monitoring standard as well as a Toyota Safety Suite set of features, which includes lane departure warning as well as adaptive cruise control. That's all really cool, but it also includes something called proactive driving assist, and I am not a fan of this. It's kind of like adaptive cruise control braking, but you don't even have to have adaptive cruise control on. It uses all these sensors to think like, oh, there's something in the way, I better apply the brakes. Like, let me drive the truck, man. Let me drive the truck. But look, at some point you're gonna have to actually get behind the wheel of these trucks. Now, the good news is that you've got plenty of powertrain options. The bad news, I mean, for a truck they're good, but in the end, they still drive like trucks. Now the Ranger wins this category, but you guys, just by like tenths of a point. I mean, this is some F1 type scoring here. The Ranger currently comes with a 2.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, which is a carryover from last year. That's made it to a 10-speed automatic, and it pushes out 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. And y'all, I have never found anything wrong with this engine. It is super torquey, and it gets the job done really, really nicely. However, Ford is actually going to offer a 2.7-liter V6, and that will put out 315 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, buddy. Now, out of these three trucks, I like the way the Ranger drives the best, and it's also quieter too. Body roll's really kept in check. There isn't any kind of bounciness or floatiness. However, I do want to drive this truck in sport mode. Otherwise, the transmission upshifts just a little too quickly for my taste. That's all in the guise of fuel economy. But listen, you're not going to be disappointed with the Ranger. Now, Chevy does things just a little bit differently, offering you only one engine, a 2.7-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, but gives you 3 different tunes. Now, even the base tune at 237 horsepower, like that's pretty good. But this one, I've got 310 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. That is amazing! It's plenty responsive, it's got a lot of low-end grunt, which is great for both city driving and towing. Now, in general, this 8-speed automatic does shift pretty smoothly, with a few exceptions. When you really, really want the power off the line, it's like, no, I don't want to work that hard. And sometimes when you ask for power and you want it to downshift, again, it's like, are you sure? Are you sure? Okay, I'll downshift for you now. Now, having said that, I really like the brakes. There's plenty of emergency stopping power, and they are very easy to modulate when, you know, you're just driving like a regular person. This turbocharged 4-cylinder engine in the Tacoma is such a huge improvement over the outgoing V6. I can't even, you guys. Here I've got 278 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque, and this engine is so peppy, especially when you're driving around town. That has made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission that does a really good job. It doesn't hunt around for gears, doesn't matter if you're on flat ground or going up a hill. I mean, finally, a Toyota transmission that is actually worth a damn. And here's the cool thing, you can still get a 6-speed manual in the Tacoma, and you can't do that in the other two. The bummer here is that the ride quality is definitely the most trucky of the three. I mean, I can feel every single thing that is coming up from the pavement, and it reaches my butt through the chassis. It is not a smooth ride at all. Toyota will offer a 2.4-liter iForce Max hybrid powertrain, and I'm very, very excited for it. One thing I'm going to give the Toyota props for are the brakes. The pedal is very responsive, but it's still easy to bring this truck to a stop very smoothly and very quickly. Now, handling, like the ride quality, it's not great. But if you're buying a truck, like what, you're going to go out carving corners? Go get a sports car if that's what you want. The steering here feels pretty light, but it is accurate. There's good on-center feel, and the truck feels very stable at highway speeds. Bottom line, you guys, not as good as the other two, but if you've driven a previous generation, you're gonna be really happy with this new Tacoma. When it comes to fuel economy on these trucks, listen, it's kind of all over the map because it depends on configuration, it depends on drivetrain, it depends on trim, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, all of that stuff. But in general, the Colorado is going to get you about 20 miles per gallon combined. The Tacoma will sit at about 21 miles per gallon combined, and the Ranger takes the cake at 22 miles per gallon combined. Of course, you got to try to hit those numbers, and how often does that happen? Am I right? Now, when it comes to value, the Ranger and the Colorado are actually tied, but for very different reasons. This is a Lariat trim, and it comes in at about $53,000, but you guys, the build quality is really, really good, and it just edges out over the Colorado. The Colorado, that's got more features, especially when it comes to technology and driver's aids, and this Z71 trim is $4,000 less than the Ranger. Oh, and the Tacoma? You guys, it ain't even in the race. I mean, sure, it's the least expensive of all of these trucks. That TRD off-road starts at about $43,000, but there's so many compromises. I mean, it tows the least. The infotainment isn't as good. The wireless charging is hinky, and the ride is the most truck-like out of all of these. All right, so after we add everything up, the Ranger gets an 8.2, the Colorado is so close at an 8.1, and the Tacoma, 7.7. And you guys, look, I love the orange on that Tacoma. And I know that some of you are just gonna go out and buy one anyway, no matter what I said. But for those of you that are on the fence, orange, you glad you didn't buy a Tacoma? Huh? I'm so funny.